Hi creative friends, this is Soraya and thank you so much for being here. Today I'm doing a video on how I create first layers incorporating oil pastels. The first thing I want to mention is that if you want to preserve your art journal and keep it archival, then do not layer mixed media on top of oil pastels. I made a couple of videos on how I use my oil pastels with my mixed media, and I will link those two videos in the description below. So if you have not watched those, then I recommend that you do. But for me personally, I am not particularly interested in preserving my art journals. What I'm more interested in is creating the images that I want. So what I'm going to do is I am going to use a mid to low grade oil pastel. And I have this brand over here. It is MUNGYO. I'm pretty sure it is made in Korea. And I'm not sure how you pronounce it. But the reason why I purchased it is because I really love the array of colors. And I want to use a lower grade oil pastel because I want a hard mark. So I don't want to use a Sennelier that has a really high fat content. And I think what I'm going to do is just pick a couple of colors here, like blue and orange. That is a really great color palette for me to work my painting around. So I'm going to pick this luscious dark blue over here, and I'm just going to start making circles. Now, the great thing about the oil pastel is it's very sensitive to the pressure in my hand. So when I press down on it really hard, I get a really bold mark. And then when I loosen up on it, I get a delicate thin line. So I can be really expressive with my oil pastel. And so I'm in beginner's mind. I am, just curious about where this is right now, like what it can do, what it wants to do. I'm not thinking about my subsequent layers. And a lot of times when we think about being in a meditative mind, we might think of being a bit wishy-washy or not really bold, but I don't think that's true at all. Like I can be meditative and I can be bold and sure of myself. And that's what I want for these lines. Like I want to be certain of the line that I'm making, like, which doesn't mean I don't want a delicate line, because see, some of my lines are delicate, but even that is intentional. So I'm being intentional, I'm being meditative, I'm in beginner's mind, and I'm just playing. And now I'm gonna take this gorgeous orange over here and I'm gonna make some patterns, and I'm pressing down really hard because I want a bold mark. And I'm going to repeat this 3 times on the page here. So I'm going to do it over here. And when the oil pastel crumbles off a little bit, like see right there, I'm not concerned about it. Like I'm either just going to dust it off, or, I can pick it up and just make a mark there. Like it doesn't concern me. Now, I was asked, what do I use to mix my washes in? And I have a set of 24 of these tiny palettes over here. You can purchase them for under $10, I believe. And because it comes in a pack of 24, it lasts me quite a while. And there's 6 wells in there, and I never generally mix more than 3 or 4 washes at a time. And I reuse them, so that lasts me quite a long time. So what I want to do is I want to mix an orange and a pink because I want a peachy color. So first I make sure that I have the color that I want, and then I add my water to make it into a like really watery wash. So I'm not sure if this is going to give me the exact color that I want. But Ooh, I'm loving that. That is a beautiful color. So I think I need it more watery though. So I'm just gonna add more water to the mix here. So it's fairly thin. It's a fairly thin consistency. And now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna drag some of it over top of the oil pastels, but some of it is also gonna be on the white page. And that might be a little thicker than I wanted. So I just loaded another brush with water and then I just kind of dragged it through there. And see that splattered over there, and I'm just gonna leave it. Like, I love all the little accidents that can happen. And different people work differently. So my recommendation is to know what you love and how you work best, like what works best for you, and then stick with it, you know? But everybody works in a different way. And I think mixed media is so accommodating on that front. Like, you can work in so many different ways. Oh, I'm really loving this color. It's so beautiful. I was kind of going for a salmon color, and this is a little more kind of pinkish red, but I'm really loving it. So I'm just gonna kind of splatter some paints on the page here. Okay, so now what I want to do is add some collage, and I'm going to use this over here. It is a really beautiful handmade Thai mulberry black ink paper, and not only is it a neutral color, which I don't want it to be really colorful because it's going to, you know, now detract from the colors I have on the page. I want it to be neutral, even though it's got a graphic pattern on it. And it's also see-through. So if I place it over top of this pattern, it's going to show what's beneath it. And I really love that. So I think I'm gonna put this like right over there. And I think I'm gonna put that over there. So I'm gonna use my Mod Podge and just kind of apply the collage onto the page. And so I'm just putting the Mod Podge straight over top of the oil pastel. And it's not going to affect it at all. If anything, it might seal it a little bit, and you can still work over top of it. So I'm just kind of laying it over top. And I'm putting it right over top of the oil pastel pattern, and see, it's not moving it at all. Like, it's not smudging it or anything. And I'm just gonna apply the collage over top of it. And that's why it's so important to experiment, because a lot of times, you know, we read books and we learn all these rules and we might take a class, etc., but until you experiment and find out what, you know, what works for your style of working, like what kind of images you want and what is possible, and what is not possible, you know, I just feel like if we want to grow as artists and if we want to serve our art in the sense of making the images that we want to make, experimenting is so important. And we never lose anything by trying something new out, because even if it doesn't work out, we have gained so much knowledge, which is really invaluable. So I'm just making some dots here because, I mean, why not? I love dots. So I'm just putting putting some dots there. And now what I'm going to do is I want to smudge some of this oil pastel. Like I want to really get it into the paper here. And they have a blender. It's a colorless blender that you can use to blend oil pastels, but honestly, I just use my fingers. The heat from your fingers are just gonna soften up the oil pastel, and I can work it in like really good into the paper. So I'm just kind of working that in there, and I'm going to do that over here as well. And see, the watered down acrylic just ran right into the oil pastel, and I'm just going to leave it like that. And I think I want to kind of do that over here as well. And now what I'm going to do is I am going to use a yellow, and it's fairly watered down as well. And I'm just going to kind of smush it in there. And I'm going to drag some of it into this pinkish red here, just to give it some variation. And now I'm going to use this very watered down acrylic over top of this oil pastel pattern. And so I'm just kind of going over top of it. It's not moving it at all. It's not smudging it or anything. And so it is a big juicy mess right now, which is what I want. I just want to get as much juiciness as I can. And I think I'm gonna put some over top of this collage here. Now, if you don't have a neutral collage like this, you can always use dictionary pages. That's always a really good neutral collage, and it also has a lot of interest to it because it's got writing on the page. So now I'm going to take my blue Stabilo and I'm just going to make some marks, some of it on the white page and some of it on the acrylic. And that's what I love about the Stabilo, is you can just I can just drag it right in here and just make some really beautiful marks. And so it's going right over top of the oil pastel. And now I'm going to take this really thick, it's Primo textile paint. So I think it's meant for textiles, but I use it and it's really gorgeous. It's thick. And I'm going to dip it right on this oil pastel, this blue right here. And so if you watch my video where I show you how I lay acrylic paints over top of oil pastel, I either do it in a very watered down wash like so, or I use a motion of up and down like this. So I am not going to take my acrylic paint and smush it into the oil pastel. I mean, I'm sure you could do that, but depending on the colors you're using, it can get to be quite messy. And so I don't really want that I don't want to do that. So this is how I do it, is I just go up and down. So it's a very gentle motion of applying it. It's not a smushing it into the page with my acrylic paint into the oil pastel. So if you have any questions or comments or concerns, please leave them in the comment section, because I really appreciate all of the conversations that we can have about my videos and different things that I'm doing. So this is the end of this video, but I am going to do a part 2. So I'm going to let this completely dry, and then I'm going to come back and work over top of it. I know that it looks like a big mess, but that's exactly what I want it to be, is I want it to be messy and juicy and, not really know where this is going. So thank you so much for watching till the end, and I hope you enjoy this video, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye.